How's everybody doing? It's time to start putting this MAXJAX 6,000 pound lift together. I'm not going to cover step by step how to do this. There's a lot of good videos online how to do this, and instructions seem to be pretty good. What I really want to cover are the things I had questions about that maybe you have questions about as well. So, starting with biggest question, how do I set the distance between these? Well, it depends what you're going to lift. And there's some recommendations. So I think my first step is I'm going to put the wheels on, I'm going to install the arms, and then I'm going to wheel it into place and see how that goes. So how do these anchor to the floor? Got some anchor bolts, box of 10, takes a 7/8 masonry drill bit, and a hammer drill. The instructions seem to be pretty clear. With 4 lifting arms, they're pretty heavy. And unbox some of the hardware. We have the pads, set of wheels, pins, hoses, miscellaneous hardware, hydraulic power unit. So I had a question, what kind of fluid? The book says you can use automatic transmission fluid or AW32. $10 for a gallon of AW32 versus $7 for a quart of Dexron 3. That was pretty easy. I'll just use hydraulic oil. The motor says it's 1.5 horse and 14.6 full load amps. So you'll need a 20 amp, 120 volt circuit to run this. So the pump will go on a cart. You got to build the cart. There's the arms, some other pieces. So the first thing I notice with the wheels, seems to be a lot of slop there. So I'm going to grab some washers to fill in the space. But we'll get the wheels on both of these and then wheel it around and see what it looks like. Okay, so with the wheels on, looks like it's easy enough to tip them back, roll them around. One of these columns weighs 250 pounds. I just put it on the scale, and the arm it's another 57 pounds. So 2 arms, some other hardware, it's going to be over 350 pounds. I still think it'll be pretty manageable. So we'll go ahead and get these arms on and see what it looks like. Okay, so I put the arms on, and right away I got a couple problems. This pin, this is a minor problem. There's a safety pin that goes in there. The holes on all of them don't fit very well, so it looks like I'll have to, it won't push through, just have to ream it out a little bit. Not a big deal. The real problem is these safety pins are not engaging, so I'm doing something wrong or something's put together wrong. These are supposed to lift and allow these to engage and lock in place. And it does not allow to go any further down. And because that's set with the roll pin, I'm wondering if it's put on upside down. So I'm going to take it apart and see what I figure out. I think the other thing I would do, because it's a steel pin on a steel bore, I'll probably put a light coat of grease on these. So I'll get this taken apart and see what I figure out and get back to you. Okay, got it apart on the bench here. Pretty simple. Got a little snap ring, little groove down there. Teeth were held in with a roll pin. If you don't know what a roll pin is, it's just a bent piece of springy sheet metal. And get that out. Tap it out with a hammer and a drift. The spring all came apart. So I lined it up. I flipped this little jaw upside down from how they delivered it. And it seems to line up fine. So I think I'm going to take them and flip them all around. So see how that goes. Okay, I guess if it's worth doing once, it's worth doing 3 or 4 times. I got this figured out. This is the way factory delivered it. See, the teeth are towards the top, and my hunch was to flip them over. Well, that was true, except I also had to move them left to right. They would not line up if I didn't move them, swap them left to right. So I got to try this multiple times. So you pull that up, you adjust out, they're in. You got a lock in place. Seems to work pretty good. The way the factory delivered it, that's never going to happen. It's down as far as it goes. So, tried switching the arms left to right. That didn't change anything. So, flip the teeth upside down, flip them left to right. Now the locking pin's engaged. Wrap this up tomorrow as far as figuring out where I'm going to set these. That's enough for tonight. Okay, so now I'm trying to test fit where I want the distance apart to be. And Sport Compact, 105 to 115 inches, typical. So I measured the distance on this car, and I measured the width of a couple other cars that we may be using, and we came up with setting it about 110 inches apart. And I can get at the frame. Looks like I can pick up all the smaller cars from here. So I know approximately where I've set it. We'll get the car out of the way and we'll chalk line things off to get it exact. So the next step, we're going to put this HPU together and figure out how it hooks up before we start anchoring this thing down. Okay, working on the hydraulic cylinder here, and it says to assemble all the fittings, including the quick disconnect, and then slide it in to the access hole. That's never going to work either. So we tried. No way this is going to work. Drop it in now. And we'll put the fitting on from underneath. So the instructions are a little bit off. It clearly says, including the quick disconnect, assemble it all in a vise and then install onto the cylinder. So that's not going to work. Just wanted to point that out. Okay, so we got the HPU put together and filled with oil and getting ready to test it. It wasn't very hard to do, just follow the directions. Pretty simple. I haven't anchored these yet. We'll show that later. I'm going to do a leak test right now. We'll see how loud this is. Haven't fired it up yet, so we'll see what we get. Not too loud. I've seen leaking yet. I'm sure it's going to leak. Should spin this around so I can watch the piston. Might have to bleed these. A lot of air in there. Try again. Okay, cylinders are climbing. Bleed it one more time. Check the leaks again. So far, so good. I think I'll put the camera down and see if I can get this thing to work. See what's going on and show you what we get done. Okay, so they maxed out before they reached the top. Sounds like we're a little low on oil. I'm going to cycle them down, check the level. Need to add some after bleeding out these cylinders. And as expected, got a minor leak at the fitting, I think on each side. So I'll get in there and adjust that. Seems to be pretty quiet. I've got to put the springs on the catches for the safety latch and put the cover on like that one. Getting close to putting them into place. See about getting that done tomorrow. It's enough for tonight. Okay, so we're gonna mount these columns. We're gonna have to drill the holes. So we got them set where we want, and we compromised. We're about 112 inches end to end, which is between the 110 and the 115. We got a saw cut, and ideally you're 8 inches off the saw cut with your bolt. So that kind of defined where we're gonna be. And I think we'll do a little video of us running the bolts in. Well, she's bolted down. And it took one shim in the corner because the base plate's warped a little bit. Pretty level. As level as it's gonna be. So, we're setting the next, we're measuring. And what we did last time, we'll do again. We're gonna drill one hole, move it out of the way, set an anchor, bolt it in place, and then drill the other 4. So we have it where we want it. And we're going to get started. Well, that's all the holes drilled. And we gave this one a hot supper. Pro tip, buy 2 drill bits. She was cooked in the last one. Alright, we're going to unbolt this thing, sink the anchors. Okay, we got it figured out by the time we got the last one. So, we'll show you how it's done. Okay, so we set this washer about 5/8 of an inch per the instructions. I'm using these shims that measures out about that much. And what this will do is drive the top of this below the concrete. Just holding this with the wrench just to keep it from spinning too much so I don't lose my setting. Okay, now that it's set, one more. Set this anchor, want 90 foot-pounds, we're guessing. And you hold the top, hold the bolt so it doesn't spin, and that'll keep the anchor from spinning. And as I draw this in, it actually sets the wedge. Yeah, by the way, don't watch us for any safety tips or any real directions. This is how I'm doing it. Your mileage may vary. Okay, now that it's set, tap this out. Alright, so there's 10 of these. It's a little bit below the surface, right about. We're going to sweep this mess up, clean it up, and bolt this thing down. Check for level, we'll shim as necessary, and we'll show you when we're done. Okay, we got the car ready to go up on the lift for the first time. So we raised it up, checked the safeties, brought it back down, and on the way back down, we got a little leak out of the divider here. We're going to have to figure that out. It leaked on me the other day when I was checking it out. And this quick coupling leaks on the way down, not on the way up. So I've got to figure out what's going on there. There are other leaks I got taken care of. So go ahead, lift her up. Stop, okay, stop. Okay, go up, stop. Well, one thing you learn fast is don't tie things to your frame rails. You've got a lot of rework to do. Okay, lift it up. These don't seem to be even either. Got it? Okay, now lower it down so it's sitting on the safeties. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. So it took us about a day and a half of work, not knowing what we're doing. I think it's pretty obvious in the beginning. We didn't know what we were doing. These safety latches don't engage when it's sitting on the ground. Once you turn on the hydraulic power and raise it up, they do slide down further. So I should have left things alone. I didn't know that. So I get to take it apart and do it one more time. They do sit down much further now. I don't know if there's a better way to do this, but it's very confusing, and I wanted to set it up so if your car sits really low, you can't really engage the latches before you start lifting the car. So we'll see if that's going to be a problem or not. Overall, I like this lift. It only lifts 4 feet, but it's very portable. We can move it around easy enough. We moved it around enough in the shop. This thing was about $2,600 after tax. Seems to be worth it. Overall, the quality seems to be pretty good. Some of the fittings I'm not too excited about, and they leak. We get just a quick disconnect is leaking really, and a few other parts. We'll get that figured out. Overall, good project. Really happy to have a lift now. Got a lot of work to do on this car. Very dirty and neglected underneath. It'll be a lot easier to take care of. So, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed.